I'm sure that you have thought about this as well, but of course today is August 20th, which starts the busiest 7 or so weeks of hurricane season here in the Atlantic Basin, but also in the Carolinas, as most of our impacts typically happen in the months of September and October.
That's true. August, September, October, they're always our big months for sure. And this is kind of the first stress test, I think. I feel like, I don't remember when we first started talking about this. It might have been 2 weeks ago now. We've been talking about Aaron for a while. These storms can kind of wear you out a little bit. And this one, not hitting us, so you don't need to be stressed. It's not going to be all that bad for most of us watching this show right now. But just kind of buckle up, because like you said, 7 weeks is a long time. And it's typically busy. We almost always get a couple of storms in the Carolinas. And right now, we don't know how many of those will end up hitting our area or when they'll come. I think the good news is that, to me, it doesn't look like we have much of a threat over the next week or so, which is nice.
Yeah, the tropical development for the first area that we know is kind of right behind Aaron looks like it takes a similar trek north and northeast away because of high pressure. And then the secondary tropical wave, long-range models not too concerned about that one. We, of course, always keep an eye on every single storm. But at least in the near term, doesn't look too impactful.
Yeah.
I also think that this is a good reminder, and this is not to seem like I'm a geography whiz by any stretch of the imagination, but I've had some friends texting, calling, asking if we're going to be okay because of Aaron. A friend even today telling me they got a call from someone else that lived in Minnesota, calling them asking if they were okay because of this hurricane, and heard we're getting hit by a hurricane this week. Let's remember good sources online and social media when it comes to tropical information. And if we need to brush up on our geography and remember that the Outer Banks are about 4 to 6 hours away from Charlotte and Greensboro, then let's just think about the difference in impacts from those two different areas as well. Because yes, we know sometimes everybody's impacted, but sometimes it's just a few folks. And so the resources go there. Another reason why, of course, Governor Stein issued the state of emergency earlier.
Yeah, and I know we're coming up on the end of it, but just a quick point on forecasts and forecast certainty. When we're 5 to 10 days away, we emphasize the uncertainty in a forecast. We also, in the 2 days that we're up right now, we know where this thing is going. It is not going to hit land. It's not going to make landfall. It will be nasty at the Outer Banks, but it'll be fine here. And just so you know.
Yep. And then tomorrow, of course, we'll see the worst of it, and then it will start to get better by Friday and Saturday. Thanks for joining us for Live Weather Impact. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Tim, have a great evening.
You too.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for Live Impact News. I'm Vanessa Rufus. Just right off the bat, we want to talk about Clear the Shelters, just because this is a big initiative for us here at WCNC Charlotte, and it's been underway all month long. And y'all who've been watching us throughout the month know that through the afternoon, morning, evenings, we've been bringing you coverage of our local rescues and shelters, the need out there, how you can help, adopt, foster, volunteer, donate, advocate. We'll just remind you our weekend here all mapped out, because we got Clear the Shelters adoption event that's happening at Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control on Byram Drive, the Byram Drive location, from 9 to 5. But let's talk more about what folks can expect and also just the general need out there. We've got Melissa Nicely joining us from the animal shelter. So fabulous timing, because we've got just a couple more days until this big event, and y'all pull out all the stops for this.
So it could, first of all, thank you.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Thanks to all of the amazing people at WCNC for supporting us. And not just Animal Care and Control, but all of the local shelters and the shelters around the country. It could not be, I'm going to speak for everyone, it could not be better timing for shelters across the country.
Yeah.
As you know, one of the words that comes out of our mouth all the time is talking about full.
Yeah.
And how full we are and how full shelters get in the summer months especially. And that is no different at Animal Care and Control or the shelters around this area. So perfect time to go out and support by adopting a shelter pet for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great event as well, in that not only do you usually see a lot of pets get adopted, but also it's just kind of a fun, day out with the family, perhaps maybe come visit and see what y'all do at the shelter, take a look at the pets. We know a lot of area, shelters, they have, vendors that are going to be coming and activities. So just something that will, make up for a good day, I think, in general for folks.
Absolutely. And remember too that we have more than just dogs and cats available for adoption. We're also going to have pocket pets available.
Yeah.
So if your child's been wanting a rabbit or something that's not a cat or a dog, make sure that you check with us as well, because we do often have all kinds of things in our room that is for our pocket pets.
Yeah. I mean, and I see from time to time y'all have like pigs and goats, and I know I think you have to have special permitting maybe for some of those barnyard animals, but occasionally, yeah, you'll see like chickens in the barn over there at the shelter.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago, we had 2 small pigs named Bambi and Flower, and they were adorable. And I'm happy to announce that they went to rescue or they went to a home. I don't know for sure, but I have been actually on vacation all of last week. So I truly don't know. I just got back in the office today. I don't know what we have in the barn.
Yeah.
I'll have to check and see, because we may have some barn animals that have crept in.
It's always a possibility, always a possibility. So, I mean, we talk about the need, and throughout the last few weeks, we've been profiling, different shelter pets around our area. And we've been talking about their bios and that sort of thing. In fact, yesterday we did have some volunteers from Zoomy Toomey come.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they talked about some of the Toomey dogs. That's your satellite location. We'll remind everyone once again, Saturday's event, primarily at Byram Drive. But, I mean, y'all have some great animals, and y'all are super full right now.
We are both full with the dog kennels, and we're full in the cat kennels. And this time of the year, if you're specifically wanting to have the lowdown on the kittens, it is no better time to adopt a kitten or 2 this time of the year, because we've got lots of kittens, and they're really adorable. They're at those ages where they're around 8 months of age all the way up to a few months old, and they're playing and they're fun, and if you get 2, they play together and they grow up together. So we've got lots and lots of kittens, all shapes, sizes, colors, personalities available. So it's a great time to come if you're looking for a kitten. And then, of course, as you know, Vanessa, you spend a lot of time there walking dogs and different things. That we always need adopters for our amazing dogs as well.
Yeah. Now, I did see, because of all of the staff concentration, if you will, and volunteer concentration on this weekend's event, that it looks like maybe daycations are going to be paused for a little bit.
Right.
Probably just good to remind folks that, but maybe even just talk about the daycation program, because when it returns, that's really a great option too.
Yeah, the daycation, we've got some great adoption programs, and we'll start with talking about the daycation program. So the daycation program is exactly what it is. It's day. So if you are free and you have a day off and you're like, I'd really like to get to know a shelter dog, get some exercise a shelter dog, get him out of the shelter, go get him a pup cup at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or wherever you fancy, then it's a great program. You can come, pick out a dog, take him out for the day. When you come back, you can give us all kinds of details about what you've learned about the dog, and we'll put that on the profile. So it gives adopters more information that we may not have yet about the dog. So that is an amazing program, and usually is offered 7 days a week, but we are not doing it this Saturday. And the reason that we're not doing it this Saturday is because we don't want them to be out on a vacation and lose their opportunity to find their forever home with people who are coming to the shelter hoping to adopt and looking to adopt. So that, and also we're hopefully going to be really, really busy, and the processing of putting a daycation dog out to, a person and that sort of thing would then slow down the line. So those are the two reasons, but mainly because we just really want them to be available and be there for people who are looking to adopt.
Yeah, and I mean, thinking back over the years, because I've been there for, I guess now at this point, maybe 4 or 5 years of, just because, our station has been doing this with y'all for years and years and years. I think, because I came in 2020, this would be the 5th year of us talking about Clear the Shelters together. I feel like we always report on, at the very least, dozens of animals getting adopted. I know it kind of varies from year to year, but, I mean, can you give us an idea of, I don't want to say expectations, because that's hard to set, but what is a ballpark of a usual successful adoption day for y'all?
Well, I think that the great thing is that you guys have done an amazing job pushing it out to the community and letting the community know to go to their local shelters, and not just Animal Care and Control, to anyone watching within your region, to go to and support their local shelters. So again, kudos to you guys, because getting the information out and knowing about this day is the piece that it wouldn't work if we didn't have that. But I'm just going to compare it to a few, I guess it was back in June, July, we did sort of an SOS adoption because we were extremely full with dogs and really needed to get some moved out very quickly. And so we planned within 2 weeks' time, we decided that we were going to do a fee-waived adoption, and we were going to be doing it on a certain day. And we set a pretty high, lofty goal of, I think, 250 animals, I think. I can't even remember what the goal was, but we surpassed that goal. So if we could, within a week's time, say between now and the end of Saturday, we would love to see at least 150 animals leave between now and the end of Saturday.
Well, I'd love to see that too.
Yeah.
I know how much that would make a difference for not only the kennel capacity over at the shelter, but also, with the resources and staff as well. I mean, it does take a whole village to care for those animals. So speaking of, the big push, and we know that a lot of shelters will try to do waived fees or special sponsorships of adoptions. How are y'all handling it this year?
So great news. We actually started a special this week. So we are waiving adoptions from I think they started it on Monday. I wasn't here, so I think it started on Monday, all the way up until the 24th, I think, through the 24th. So through Saturday, through the end of Saturday, all adoption fees are waived. Let me just say it one more time.
Yeah.
All adoption fees are waived. That's huge. So it's a perfect opportunity that you can save a few bucks on the adoption fee and take that money and go to your pet supermarket and get all the things that you need to start up having a new pet in your home.
Yeah, I mean, and because we have adopted a dog from Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control. His name is Rocky River. If you've been watching on TV, there's some commercials that have been running for Clear the Shelters this month. That is Rocky River. We have another dog too, but he was rescued from a different state. Anyways, when we got Rocky, he came microchipped. He came with all of his basic vaccinations. And he was also heartworm positive. We did have the option of doing the slow kill heartworm treatment through y'all. So y'all provide a lot of medical services for these animals. And so to waive those adoption fees, that's pretty huge.
It is. Like, one of the things that I really like to tell people, especially who are looking to adopt, and, you know, obviously you want to make sure that you have the finances in place, you know, for the unexpected, but even just the routine things that you're going to have. But the nice thing is, when we fee waive, you do get a lot for free. So all of them, like you said, all of the animals are going to come. They're going to be microchipped. They're going to have all the vaccines that they need to this point in time. And when you get the adult animals, that's great, because you're looking at, like, you won't need any of their core vaccines until a year from now. So then also they're dewormed. The dogs are heartworm tested. And you know, if they're heartworm negative, then that's great. If they're heartworm positive, then we can work with you on, like, sending them home with the slow kill method, medication, basically, which is very easy to do. And what am I missing? I think that's pretty much everything. And of course, the spay or neuter.
Yeah.
So that's the most important, and I almost missed that. But they will be sterilized. And usually on these days, most of the ones that will be up for adoption will have hopefully already had that spay neuter, so they can leave that day. That's what our goal is.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking about, you know, past Clear the Shelters and seeing, I mean, it's just fun to see, you know, who gets adopted. I remember even, you know, one of our team members adopted a cat that very day too. So I'm really
that last year? I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it goes by fast. It is hard to keep track, right? Like, because we've been doing this so many years. But talk about, I guess, some of the vibe of the day and just what it feels like to see so many animals go out the door in a positive outcome.
It's like one of the best days. There's several best days that you get, you know, as someone who's a staff or a volunteer there. And certainly seeing so many people in our community coming because they want to adopt, it's just the best feeling. And especially if it's an animal that's been there for a long time, and we get to, you know, say goodbye to it, which is sad, but at the same time, it's what we are in this for, right? Is to see them go home. So I'm kind of getting chills a little bit, because it's just the most amazing time. And I think what the cherry on top is, especially if it's a family and their children, and they are so excited to take their new pet home, that they're just almost dancing around. They're so excited. And I love that. I love seeing that.
Yeah.
And then another thing that I love seeing, and it's not related to Clear the Shelters, but it's certainly important, is, I'll mention it, one of my best days of the month is our outreach rabies clinic that we do, where we provide free rabies shots. Just a little plug, second Saturday of every month. Look at our website for details. Is to see how many people are willing to line up in their car and wait for an hour plus to get a rabies vaccine. It just shows me how many people really care so much about their pet that they're willing to take all the time and wait in the line and do all that. And so those are the glimpses you get of, like, how many amazing pet owners there are in our community who really care about their pets. Because I know a lot of people are like, how can you do the job? It's so sad. You see all the animals coming in that nobody wanted, or they were lost and they didn't come look for. But truly, we get to see the flip side of it too. We get to see how many amazing people are adopting, how many people are coming to get their pets vaccinated because they care, and how many people are fostering, and how many people are volunteering. So it's lots of love, and these days really spread a lot of the love when we're doing the Clear the Shelter event. And we're supported by the community, and we're supported by folks like you guys. So it's a wonderful day.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait. I hope that it's very successful. And we'll just remind people too, we've got a lot of coverage on our website. We've got an article up about how you can learn about Clear the Shelters, the when, where, how, the time, all of it. If you can't by chance make it, donations are great. Learn about volunteering, fostering, all of it. It makes a difference. Melissa, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Once again, it's Saturday, this Saturday, Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control, Byram Drive location. More information, as we mentioned, on our website, WCNC.com. All right, so we actually got some breaking news to talk about here within the last 30 minutes. So we're going to turn the page, talk about Texas redistricting. It looks like the Republican-controlled House has approved these new maps to create, as we mentioned, potentially up to 5 winnable seats for Republican candidates. So this is an effort that we're seeing kind of pushed up ahead on the timeline. It's happening sooner than you would usually do it based on census data collection and reporting. But this is coming all ahead of midterms. So we actually want to get down to the very latest with not just the developments today, but also just this really ongoing saga. We've got Danielle Perot, who's joining us right now from Austin, Texas, one of our news partners out there. So thank you so much, Danielle, for your time. Break down, I guess, the latest developments right now, and I guess what we know now about what will happen with this legislation moving forward.
Well, good evening. It's been a bit of an intense day here at the Capitol as lawmakers have worked through this proposed congressional map in the House. There were moments that were intense during the debate where Republicans and Democrats were going at each other. The House is right now taking that bill up on third reading, so they have to pass everything 3 times. They did a bit of an unusual procedural move for the House to do, where they started a brand new legislative day. So they're now taking that up for the third reading, final approval in the House, and then it will still have to go over to the Senate and go through that chamber before it can make its way to the governor's desk. But it has been an intense day here. We just saw a bit of a powerful moment where you saw both the House and the Republicans and the Democrats all up. The Republicans in the front of the room, the Democrats in the back of the room. And that just really is just so symbolic for this heated debate and what has engulfed this Capitol for the last several weeks here.
Yeah, really, it just has played out like the contentious saga that you kind of described. You saw visually with the separation inside the House. I guess take us back here, because we've been, of course, following this, from a national scale. A lot of different, folks across the nation have been watching what's going on in Texas. And part of this was because of that, what we saw eventually being 2-week decampment of Democrats, and then they finally returned. What are you hearing from Democrats at this point? Because we know that they were still kind of doing protests. There was an overnight stay at the Capitol, and we heard at last check, like during this afternoon stream, the fact that there was the potential that they might try to add an amendment about the Epstein files in there. What have you heard about that?
Yeah, the Democrats actually tried to add 12 different amendments to it. Among them was blocking the implementation of the maps until the Epstein files were released. Another was creating a brand new independent redistricting commission, something that Texas does not have. It's up to the state lawmakers to do it whenever they want. When you talk to state lawmakers on the floor right now, they're just really tired because it has been an intense couple of weeks, and especially those lawmakers who have been living inside the House chamber, it's not that comfortable. So they're very tired because they probably did not get a ton of sleep, or at least they said they didn't really get a ton of sleep when they were inside the House chamber. There's also a lot of frustration because they feel like the priority for state lawmakers needs to be not just the redistricting thing, but the floods and responding to the deadly flooding that we saw across the state of Texas, particularly in Kerr County and the Kerrville area, which killed more than 130 people back in July. There are several pieces of legislation moving forward. They're expected to be debated tomorrow, but Democrats say that needs to be the priority, and they've been pushing for more votes on that rather than doing this mid-decade redistricting. So there's been a lot of frustration, but Democrats are making clear that their fight isn't over. A lot of today for them has been trying to get things on the record, trying to get Republicans to say things during debate that could potentially help them in future legal battles and challenges that are expected to come against this new congressional map.
Well, and yeah, and we were talking about too about somewhat of the spectacle of decampment in the sense that they knew when they first left the state that this would inevitably still be a piece of legislation that they would have to face down whenever it was that they returned to the state. But we had heard that this was part of their trying to, at the very least, draw attention to what was going on in Texas, let folks across the nation know what's going on. And kind of to that point, we've seen this now being picked up as a headline in states pretty much everywhere, but primarily in California, I would say, as of late, where now there's talk about redistricting there. And I'm just curious if you're hearing anything in Texas as far as like response to that, from any of these lawmakers there who are watching what's going on in California now.
Well, as you say, for the Democratic state lawmakers, you talk to them, they knew that they were never going to have the votes to stop this. So the quorum break was all about raising that national spotlight, making more people aware of what was going on, and getting more blue states like California involved. So far, it's still 5 seats, which is what the California map is. But some of the Republican state lawmakers have been pushing because they want to increase the map and make it more Republican. So to create more Republican seats to try to balance out what the other states like California are doing. But then you, of course, run into a risk of you try to take Republican voters out of a district, move it to another district, then you run the risk of making those districts too weak where it makes it easier for a Democrat to win in those districts. But right now, Republicans are plowing ahead, and they don't seem to be too concerned with what California is doing in terms of the top Republican leaders in the state, but there's certainly a desire among the Republican caucus members to maybe potentially make those maps even stronger Republican. The question is there enough support to do that without getting into those concerns?
Well, and I'm curious too, as far as your role here as a journalist, watching all of this playing out, what will you be looking for? I guess, what does the rest of your evening look like in the days to come as you cover this story and how you're going to provide context and information to viewers? I'm just curious about your information gathering process as you look ahead down the schedule.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot that we're going to be looking forward to. We're expecting the lawmakers to come out of the chamber quite shortly, so we're going to be looking to talk to them and get their reaction to how the day went. And then all eyes sort of turn to the Senate tomorrow and what happens there. It's got to go through a Senate committee, and then we expect that it will go to the full Senate, and the full Senate will debate it. And then the question is, does it make it to the governor's desk? And then you sort of start looking at the implementation of it from there. And we do expect that there will be legal challenges filed almost immediately to it. Democrats have said they want to go to the state Supreme Court as quickly as possible. Part of today has been trying to get this moved along as quickly as they can so they can get it to the courts, so they have a chance at potentially blocking it. As you see right now, that's our state representative, Nicole Collier, who we were just talking about the protest that happened. She was the one who stayed inside the House chamber. She is now able to leave the House chamber because part of the rules were they had to have the state police escorting them until they finally passed the congressional map, and the House has now finally passed the congressional map. So she is now free, and all of her Democratic colleagues are now free to go wherever they want. They're now done having a state trooper escort them wherever they go. So there's a large crowd of people who've now gathered around her, cheering and supporting her. This is the first time since Monday afternoon that she has stepped outside the House chamber. So yeah, quite the moment here as Republicans have now gotten the votes to pass it, but she is now taking a picture with some of her supporters.
And I just want to remind you,
the cheers.
I know it's loud there, but if you can hear me, Daniel, if you all need to move your shot up or anything, if you need to move your camera or get an interview, don't hesitate to jump in and do that. I don't want you to miss out on any information gathering if you're speaking with us. But you pointed her out. I mean, Collier, she is the person who you saw fellow Democrats joining in protest, ripping up their permission slips, if you will, joining her in spending the night. She's kind of the figure who is the center of those protests, with her colleagues joining her, correct?
Yeah, she is the lawmaker who initially started to spend the night when they asked her to sign the permission slip to go leave with the state troopers. She said that she didn't want to do that. She objected to doing that, and as a result had to spend the night inside the House chamber. We expect that a bunch of Democrats are going to be making their way out of the chamber. Yeah, so really quite the moment there as she makes her way out of the chamber, and I'm sure probably going to change her clothes and stuff to just, do all the things that you can't necessarily do when you're inside the chamber for hours and days on end.
Yeah, I mean, just really interesting to kind of see the process, the tactics, if you will, the political intrigue of this whole saga, as it's played out on both sides. And I know you pointed this out, the fact that you will be on the lookout for more response this evening. We might peek into your shot if we're able to. We'd love to bring more of these, breaking moments to folks here on Live Impact News. Daniel, anything you'd like to leave us with before we wrap things up? Something that we didn't touch on?
I mean, you kind of mentioned about this sort of nuclear redistricting arms race, that this is now sort of touching off, and who knows where this will end. You got at least 8 other states, both Democrat and Republican, now look at it. We talked about California, but New York has said they want to get on it, Missouri, Ohio, Florida. So where all of this ends is something that we'll have to kind of watch and see over the next couple of weeks, sort of where it was touched off here in Texas, and whether or not other states now jump on board, and how the sort of balance of power shifts as we get into the 2026 midterms.
Yeah, very, very interesting for sure. Daniel Perot, thank you so much for your time here on Live Impact. You know how to get in touch with us, so let us know if you've got anything big and breaking coming up, because we're on until 9 on this live stream, so we always love to bring folks the breaking updates.
All right, thanks so much for having me.
All right, thank you. And with that, folks, we ask you to keep it here. We're going to turn to another discussion. This one's going to be happening a bit closer to home here to us in Charlotte, and it is regarding the transportation discussion. So we kind of prefaced this earlier in the evening. We had our Julie Kay, who is covering this meeting on transportation, kind of setting the table for us for this vote that's set to happen. This is that 1 cent sales tax discussion. So voters are going to vote on this year. But in the meantime, city leaders and transportation leaders need to discuss what that money would actually fund, which specific projects. Let's listen in.
You have a lot of money, Jennifer?
I don't know. I wish I had gone before these other conversations, honestly.
You will help us end well, so.
Okay, good.
Good job. Take it away.
So Jennifer Stafford with CRTPO. I'm the staff lead of the Discretionary Grants Program. And so today I wanted to give you an update on the existing grant-funded projects, as well as talk about the fall call funding. So right off the bat, this year we started 2 different processes. So we did away with the spring call, which was for shortfalls only. And so all the submittals now come to this once a year opening. And so from after tonight, I'll start calling this the annual call. We're so used to calling it the fall call that I didn't want to switch it quite yet. So we have that. The other major change we had is we had a project oversight committee that was a subcommittee to the TCC. And as applications came in from the fall call, the project oversight committee would review them, help score them, and recommend to the TCC, who would recommend to you all. And that's why you saw Andrew so many times, because he was the chair to the POC. So this year, the POC sunset, they did what they needed to do with helping to create the policy, doing recommendations. They're all people, or most all people, that were on the TCC. So now we'll have workshops after the TCC meetings, and any TCC member can do exactly what we did with the POC. So it's a little bit more transparent, not that there wasn't anything not transparent before, but I think it will be easier for your staff to talk to the board members and say, this is why this project was selected. Again, we're doing data-driven things, so it's pretty clear, but I think this will just help. So it'll be interesting to see how this this goes. A little bit more work for me, but I think it's the right way to go. So again, these are the active grant funded, so federally funded projects that you all have awarded in the past. We have 57 highway and intersection projects, 46 bike and ped projects, 3 transit, public transportation, 5 air quality, 4 planning studies, all still active. And these projects are in these phases. So the 4 planning projects, the design category that I have, so remember last
Folks, we're breaking into this feed. We'll get back to it if we're able to. We want to turn back to Texas, where we actually have House Minority Leader Jean Wu, a Democrat who is speaking, as we just mentioned, some big breaking developments there at the State House. Let's listen in right now.
In order to do what they are told by Donald Trump, what they are told by the Washington insiders, and what they're told from the billionaire bosses. We fight the people, fight for the people. They fight for themselves. This fight is far from over. We have known that we needed to come back. We have known, now that we know what the courts are thinking, that we have an idea of what they'll do, that our best shot is in the courts. This part of the fight is over, but it is merely the first chapter. The fight for the American way, the fight for the American dream, the fight for all of us to live simple but honorable and dignified lives will go on much longer. You have watched the entire nation in the last few weeks suddenly realize that their votes do matter, that elections have consequences, that when they tell them that it doesn't matter who you vote for, it doesn't matter if you participate or not, and it doesn't matter if you speak up or not. They're being told that by people who seek to steal their power. And for 50 years, Republicans have quietly and slowly stolen everything that made America great. They have taken our great jobs. They have taken our education. And they have taken our health care. There is only one thing left for them to take, and that is our power, our voice, our ability to shape our own future, our most precious right as Americans, and that is our right of self-determination, our right to control our own destiny and our own lives. This is not over. We will continue fighting. But what needs to happen is we need every American, every Texan to start paying attention and start learning about how we got here and what we can do. This is far from over. In my heart, I know the American people will win, and we will see a bright day again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, as we look around the country and we see major institutions buckling in the face of pressure from these same forces that passed this map, universities, news media, corporations, we saw something this week that shows a very different response. We saw one person, in the face of everything that was coming at us, simply say, no. Not me. Y'all can do what you want to do, but not me.
That's right.
I'm going to stand up, whatever it takes. And her example and her courage has inspired a nation and, in fact, a world as people see what she has done and what she has triggered and inspired through her conduct. She's loose. She's out.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I want to cry, but I'm too angry. I want to cry, but I'm too furious. I want to cry because I'm mad, but I'm too mad. What happened today was hard. It was hard. It was hard to sit through the hypocrisy, the lies, the way that they try to silence our voices. It's hard. My feet hurt, my back aches, but I think about the people who have no home, have no bed to sleep in, who have no job to work at. I think about the people who don't earn livable wages. I think about the people who don't have health care. I can fix my back. But what are we going to do for them?
That's right.
What are we going to do? We got to fight.
That's right.
Right? The fact that I'm still mad, angry, and furious means that I still want to fight. Today is not the end.
That's right.
It is the start of a new beginning of the new Democratic Party. But we won't back down. We won't put up with their shit. And we will push and push and push until we take over this country. Woo! We are the people. We are the party who are powered by the people.
That's right.
We are the party who stand out for our LGBTQ people. We stand up for black and brown and Asian, all people. I won't give up because I think about Benny, Zen, Chase. Think about all the little children. I think about our children. And they need somebody to stand up for them. They need you to stand up for them. So we can't give up. There's no option. That is not an option. The only way to go is forward. And we got to go forward together. And we got to keep that grit. Sometimes it's hard to stand alone. It may take a while for others to get on board, but don't doubt yourself. If you believe it, do it. Believe it, do it. You may be the only one, but you must do it. You must trust your instincts and move forward. Vice President Kamala Harris, that was the best thing she told me. Keep going. So you know what? I won't cry today. I won't cry for Texas. I'm going to shout for Biddy. I'm going to shout for Zen. I'm going to shout for Baker. I'm going to shout for Chase. I'm going to shout for all of you. We're going to shout that we won't back down. We're going to continue to move forward. And we're going to continue to fight.
Yes.
When we fight,
We win. Can we give it up for Nicole? So, one of the things that we've talked about is what a sham process this was. That they never had any intention of listening to the people. That it was a dog and pony show without a dog and a pony. And the person who was charged with being the vice chair of the redistricting committee and who sat through it all and was a constant voice for justice and fairness through this process was Representative John Rosenthal.
Hi, all. I'm John Rosenthal, and I'm going to start out by saying I try to live a life without regret. My regret today is that I have to speak after Nicole Collier. But I'm also the ranking Democrat on the redistricting committee, a committee that didn't even see fit to meet during the regular session. There was nothing in front of us. So I'm an engineer by trade. I'm very process driven, like literally you should see me make coffee in the morning. But this process, y'all, was a total sham from the very beginning. And I don't know if you saw some of the questions I asked on the House floor today, but if these folks can redraw the lines and change the districts in this state in the span of just a few weeks, they could do it in front of every election. So let me point out the hypocrisy of the Republican leadership in this state. Over and over, they have said Democrats are obstructing the process. They criticized us for the quorum break because they said we were blocking aid to Central Texas for the victims of a historic tragedy of biblical proportions. They blame us for that. Here we are back in the second special session. Have we heard even one bill on the House floor? No. If we were going to do what the people of Texas want us to do, we would be working on disaster relief today. If we were going to do what the people of Texas want us to do, we would be working on getting rid of the STAR test today. That's on the governor's call. If we were going to do what the people of Texas want us to do, we would put in sensible regulations for hemp and THC products. But that's not what we're doing. The only bill that saw its way to the House floor so far, the last special session and this one, is the redistricting bill. And it's more pernicious than that. It's not just a power grab. It's the fact that because they're going to lose, they want to pick up more votes, but it's the way they're going about it by dismantling black and brown districts. And let's face it, this is a racist power grab that especially goes after our African American representatives in Congress, more than the others. And the Latinos too. My district's 47% Latino, but let me tell you, when you look at who they're taking away from us, it's the black and brown voices. That's right. Literally, the result of this is that millions of Texans are going to have their voices diminished, and they will lose the ability to select a candidate of their choice. So I've already talked too long. My last words are, there ain't no power like the power of the people, and the power of the people don't stop. The power of the people, we cannot abide by this. So we need to stand up, fight back. So when democracy is under attack, what do? Stand up!
Thank you, John. And Representative referenced the fact that it is predominantly black and brown communities that are being sliced and diced by this map. And one of the clearest and most consistent voices through this whole process has been the Mexican-American Legislative Caucus. And I want to bring up next the chair of that caucus, Ramon Romero.
Thank you all. I want Barbara Gervin Hawkins, the chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, to stand with me as we stand hand in hand, because we know the importance of the black-brown unity that is like never galvanized in this state. And as a demonstration here, to stand here, because this is what it's going to take in order to continue this march that we started weeks ago to demonstrate to the American people how important it is to have unity behind the people, atrás del pueblo. Qué importante es ser unidos con nuestros amigos en la comunidad afroamericana. I can tell you that we all witnessed over the last few days the sacrifice that my colleague from Fort Worth said, Nicole Collier, what she demonstrated to all the world, the sacrifice and what it's worth for you, the people, in Spanish, the pueblo. We all sacrificed so much in leaving our families and going across the country to start this march. And as we said before, that was a small price to pay for America and for American democracy. And as our caucus leader said, the march continues on. Now it is up to the people, up to you, everyone watching, to demonstrate and reject this hate that we saw today. As the chairman of the Mexican-American Legislative Caucus, I am proud that we have now become the largest demographic in this very state that we are in, but we do not represent the lion's share of the representation in this state. Así es que todos los latinos que están poniendo atención y que le están diciendo que ahora que ellos votaron 11 de 18 distritos por la frontera y que están orgullosos los republicanos que porque ustedes votaron para ellos, deberían de ser ahorita momentos de vergüenza que ellos están burlando de nosotros, que nos lavaron el coco y que nos dijeron que el precio del huevo va a bajar, que la gasolina va a bajar. Y ahorita las tiendas están vacías, los trabajos están sin los trabajadores, las casas no se completan, todos los precios están subiendo y no nos vamos a dejar de nuevo. In English, we know that right now we were sold a bill of goods. Eggs have not gone down. Gas has not gone down. The job sites are empty. We keep reading about our border communities. Their stores are empty. We will not allow ourselves to be fooled again. We're not going to allow them to continue to perpetuate a false narrative that Latinos are voting for Trump. They did. And right underneath them, they continued overwhelmingly to vote for Henry Correa, Veronica Escobar, Sylvia Garcia. Our people vote Democrat, they always have, and they are going to show up in 2026 like never before. While they might have changed these maps in congressional districts, while this is the state that is already the most gerrymandered of so many, 62-88, we are watching as our own families are being deported. We are not comfortable with hundreds of thousands of people about to get put in private for-profit prisons in our communities. This is what hate looks like. Yeah. Esto es lo que como se ve el odio. Cuando la gente empiezan a crear y hacer cárceles en nuestras propias comunidades y poner hijos y hijas en esas cárceles y decir que esto es lo que nosotros queríamos. No es cierto. Y no nos vamos a dejar que continúe esta.
Folks, if we're able to get back to this update from Texas Democrats, we certainly will. This is, of course, as we were following this breaking news out of the State House there this evening, the Republicans in the House have passed those redistricting maps. It moves on to the Senate, and you heard from multiple Democrats, including Nicole Collier, the representative from Fort Worth, wearing the same clothes she was wearing when she first entered the Capitol at the beginning of the week. Upon her release, several days later, she talked about fighting. So We're going to continue to keep you updated on the saga that is the Texas redistricting push. Meantime, we got to give you an update on a story that we've been following here locally on WCNC Plus. You might remember around this time last night, our Tradisha Woodard was joining us with this story that she was working on what was called Happy Puppy Universe. This is a pet store that was shut down due to multiple violations. Tradisha is back with us tonight here on Live Impact News to give us an update. You're learning more and more about, I guess, this owner who might not have just had this one shop.
That's correct. We talked about it briefly yesterday, so I do have documentation that he was closed down before back in July in Clearwaters, Florida. So tonight in the package, we're basically going to do a deeper dive into some of those violations, as well as the possibility of a third location that's still active.
Still active.
Still active.
Is
yeah.
this one local or is this one also in Florida, do you think?
This one's in Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, wow.
Now, I did look at paperwork, and it didn't necessarily say his name on the paperwork. However, we did see the same address on all of the different documents that we do have. So it's a possibility. It's also the same name as the one in Florida, Blue Sky Puppies.
Yeah.
So I just think it's absolutely baffling, and I'm just digging into the paperwork, digging a little deeper, combing through a lot of documents, trying to see if I can find anything to connect this location to him as well.
Yeah, and I mean, you say the situation, it's baffling. We say that because we'll remind folks, if you did miss Tradisha's story from yesterday, the Charlotte shop, Happy Puppy Universe, was closed down because they had 11 puppies that were dead, and people who were customers of this shop said that they kept getting sold sick puppies and they weren't having any sort of medical, disclaimer saying, hey, this puppy is sick. And then they're out a lot of money for the puppy and for the medical care.
Yeah, and they were also given vet clearance saying that these puppies were ready for sale out of between $3,500. I also spoke with an expert today who says some people actually go on payment plans, high interest rates to get these puppies, and they're sick. So it's very unfortunate. And another thing the package kind of goes into tonight is things to look out for when purchasing a pet, and how to do your research so you're not a victim in this instance.
Yeah, and I mean, we're still trying to get more information, it sounds like, on maybe the origins of these puppies, but you did speak with a rescue in our area that has taken a lot of these survivors since the shop has closed.
Yeah.
And they talked about the fact that these puppies seemingly have come from out of state, potentially from places that are questionable.
Yeah. She did say that they came from Missouri, a puppy mill in Missouri, and she also said that there's a lot more to come. So I emailed her. I'm looking forward to hearing more about their findings. She did also tell me that the puppies that were currently being fostered and currently given the medicine by their foster parents, they're just experiencing a different wave of sickness. So a lot of the foster parents are bringing the puppies back in, and they're scrambling to find some more solutions to keep the puppies alive.
Yeah, I mean, Peanuts Place, by the way, is the name of the rescue. They've been kind of updating folks on their journey with these pet store puppies in recent days. It sounds like at this point they probably have more than 40 dogs because
For sure, more than 40. I know they got an additional 5 today. They received 38 last week. They got an additional 5 today, and she also talked about the possibility of them getting even more.
Even more?
Even more. So it's just an ongoing process. And even when I was talking to her, she was saying that she was dosing the pups up with medicine, and she was kind of scrambling all over the place, and foster parents were coming back in. So it's a mess. And right now, the story tonight specifically just focuses on the owner and digging a little bit deeper into the puppy mills in general, and finding solutions to put a stop to it.
Yeah, I mean, probably, more on this to come, I think, because there's likely going to be even more follow-ups, I can imagine, with this story. But sometimes folks don't know, where the puppies are coming from in some of these shops. And, so in some cases, I want to say, they might do a good job of maybe hiding the background of.
Yep. And one of the solutions when speaking with an expert is, he said, if you can't see the mom and dad, then it's an issue. You should be able to physically meet the breeder. You should be able to physically see the mom and the dad of the puppy that you're purchasing. If you can't, it's probably a red flag that it comes from a puppy mill, and just terrible situations that these, especially moms, are living in at those mills. So just lots of good news folks can use when it comes to making a purchase so you're not out of a lot of money.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's just, my mind is blown to think that there are even more dogs that are coming to
It's
this rescue.
crazy.
Like, where are they coming from? Like,
Yeah.
where did they resurface from?
Yeah.
I have no idea, but I'm sure we'll learn more answers, of course, too,
Yeah.
in the future.
For sure.
All right, Tradisha, thank you. Of course, folks, you can watch Tradisha's piece tonight here on WCNC Plus coming up at 11 o'clock. And more to come potentially, too, with the story as the days and weeks go on. All right, looks like we've got the transit meeting. Okay, so it sounds like we've kind of wound it back just a touch so we can kind of see more of the full discussion that happened today in Charlotte. Once again, this is regarding that 1 cent sales tax, which voters will vote on this year, but the projects that this will fund still up in the air. Let's listen about some of the ideas.
In a report, we're updating the active transportation corridor tool. This is being updated with our bike ped work group. This is something that we brought in the 2050 MTP as a means for our jurisdictions to optionally evaluate projects that would be good candidates for funding for bike and ped. I want to emphasize this is an optional tool, and we are enhancing it to make it more useful for our member jurisdictions. Again, many of your TCC members serve on this bike ped work group. They're providing us with valuable input on how we can make this tool even more useful locally for you all. The revenues, we spoke about that earlier. The roadway revenues are complete and adopted by the board earlier this year. We are finalizing the transit revenue projections, discretionary grant program revenue projections, and maintenance revenue projections. Those are all required, again, by FHWA to be part of this financial plan. So we will provide an information report in September, and we will be requesting action of the board, again, to close out the remaining MTP revenues and get your approval on those. The congestion management process, we have identified congested corridors based upon a methodology. We did present the congested corridors to your TCC members at a staff meeting earlier this month, and we did task TCC members with congested corridors in their jurisdictions to identify mitigation strategies. You're not bound by those strategies. These are just policy considerations as these projects move through the process. We will be providing an update on the congestion management process at the meeting in September. So that concludes the presentation. Here with the action, once again, is to adopt the 2055 MTP fiscally constrained roadway and transit project list. Happy to take any questions that you have.
Questions for Neil and his team? I know that was a long presentation, but it's been a long time coming. You guys have been working on this for a number of months. Mr. Osborne.
Is there any prioritization given to the projects for getting to the rail line, since it's assumed that we'll have funding so we can optimize that transit that it would be providing? So any priority to those projects?
We have that two-tiered methodology that we've reviewed with the board before, but there's no transit station proximity within that necessarily. It's really incumbent upon your staff members in your jurisdictions to submit your priorities, and if your priorities are getting residents or regional traffic to those proposed stations, then that's really kind of a local decision.
Question, others? Okay. Hearing none, is there we've got a motion to adopt the 2055 MTP physically constrained roadway and transit project list. Is there a second? Second. And a first and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Well done, Neil. I know you guys have, again, continue work on that. All right, moving on to our next presentation, the draft 2026-2035 Transportation Improvement Program. Travis.
Hi everyone, Travis Johnson here with CRTPO. I'm here to give an update on the the 2635 Transportation Improvement Program and a requested action. So I'm going to go over the requested action, talk a background about the item, go over a brief schedule, and then bring up the request again. So the request tonight is to approve the opening of a public comment period from August 21st until September 19th on the draft 2026-2035 TIP, the 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan amendments, and then the Air Quality Conformity Report. So a little background on these items. These were included in your agenda packet, but they're also available on our website, and you can also scan the QR code to go to the website to read all the documents. The public comment period on the draft 2026-2035 is a necessary step for TIP adoption to occur in October. So the proposed public comment period would be on the TIP and the other documents. And so after the public comment, we would return back to you, provide a summary of that feedback, and then ask for adoption. The MTP amendments and modifications are for the currently adopted MTP, which is why we're modifying the 2050 MTP. As a reminder, the MTP, or the TIP, is a subset of the MTP. So the projects in the TIP must also be in the MTP. So if a project was delayed and it went beyond a horizon year, we then need to adjust in the MTP what that horizon year was. If a project was broken into parts, we then need to amend the MTP to show the project as separate parts. And so changes like that would then merit an MTP amendment. Air quality conformity determination is a review of the projects incorporated in the TIP. And this is looking to make sure that we are meeting the requirements of the state implementation plan, and also ensuring that we will not cause the new violations of the National Amber Air Quality Standards or worsen existing violations. Additionally, we did coordination with of the TIP and the documents inside of it with NCDOT, did multiple presentations to this group and the TCC, and also interagency consultation with the project list. So looking at the TIP schedule, it was originally released back in January. NCDOT had their own public comment periods for each of the divisions. There was also the Metro line.
Folks, we're going to break away from this to move to Glendale, Arizona, where family members of a popular social media influencer are speaking after she was shot dead in front of her son and partner. She was actually a bystander in a road rage incident. Let's listen in.
Arrebatada en un acto de violencia sin sentido el pasado fin de semana. Yareli era una madre devota y una esposa y una hija querida y un miembro activo de nuestra comunidad. Su pérdida es muy triste y nuestras comunidades del distrito Cactus llora por su familia y llora junto con su familia. No hay palabras para expresar lo que estamos sintiendo y la ciudad de Glendale y nosotros estamos con todos ustedes. Good afternoon. My name is Councilmember Lupe Conchas from the City of Glendale, Cactus District, and I want to begin by expressing my deep condolences to the family and loved ones of Yareli Ashley Hermosillo, whose life was tragically taken in an act of senseless violence this past weekend. Yareli was a devoted mother, a beloved wife, a daughter, a vibrant member of our community. And as I prepared these remarks, she was also a TikTok content creator. And she made amazing videos of her recipes and can really tell her personality through those videos. There are no words that can ease the pain of losing someone so suddenly and so unjustly, but I want to let the family know here that we are with you. The entire city of Glendale is here with you, and so am I. I also want to commend our Glendale Police Department for their swift and decisive action in apprehending the suspect. Within hours, our detectives worked tirelessly to identify, locate, and arrest the individual responsible for this tragedy. Their dedication to justice and public safety deserves our gratitude. But let's also be honest, this tragedy is not an isolated incident. Too far, we find ourselves gathered to mourn another life cut short by violence. And too often, we are left to comfort families and neighbors who are grieving the unimaginable. And it needs to stop. This is a painful reminder of how fragile life is and how much work we still have to do together to build a safe and prosperous community for everyone. We must continue investing in proactive solutions like the real-time crime centers, community policing programs, and neighborhood partnerships that prevent crime before it even happens. And just as importantly, we must commit ourselves to lifting one another up, looking out for one another, and refusing to accept violence as a way of life. Thank you to the entire city of Glendale. Thank you to our police officers. Thank you to all of our public servants. And thank you to all of the families that are here today for this tragic event. To the Hermosillo family, on behalf of the Cactus District and on the entire city of Glendale, we grieve with you. We love your family. and we want to honor Yareli's memory as we continue to stand beside you in the days ahead. Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to have a few of the family members come up to include the mother, her husband, and sisters. Whoever would like to start.
Thank you for being here. It hurts to lose your other half. It hurts to lose your other half when to lose your half, but when it happens in front of you, and you can't do nothing, it's a different type of hurt. Yareli's life was just beginning. We just moved into our new apartment. Her social media career was beginning to take off, and that was taken from her. You ask anybody who knew Yareli, they would tell you she was the glue to the family. She was the jokester. She was that caring person you could call when you needed somebody to be with. She would drop everything just to be with you. And she was an amazing cook. I feel for my son when he lays to sleep at night and he can't cuddle with her. When we go for a walk, he waits to see if mommy's coming out the house, like she always would. I want to thank every law enforcement officer that was involved in this case too. I know sometimes there's a negative light shined on law enforcement, but from this experience, I'll tell you there's good people out there. Yareli, we miss you, and I pray you get the justice you deserve in this malicious act, avoidable malicious act. Thank you.
We could get your first name and last name, sir. I'm so sorry I missed it.
Daniel Salgado. Yeah.
Buenas tardes. Yo soy Teresita Ramos. Nomás quiero decir que mi hija era una niña muy buena, de corazón noble, muy alegre. Toda la gente la quería mucho. Y lo único que quiero decir que ella no podía, no merecía haber pasado por esto tan feo.
My name is Chrisanne Lopez. On behalf of my family, I want to share a few words about my sister, Yareli. She was tragically taken from us by an incident she had no part in. I will never forget my mom's screams when I arrived at the hospital full of pain. Yareli was a beautiful soul, a devoted wife, a loving daughter, and above all, an incredible mother to her 3-year-old son. She poured her heart into raising him with love and joy. She also loved sharing her passion for cooking and took pride in teaching others how to prepare delicious meals for their families. She was full of dreams, plans, and goals for her future, all of which were taken from her in such a cruel and senseless way. Our family is heartbroken beyond words. We want to extend our deepest gratitude to the detectives, officers, and everyone working tirelessly on this case. While nothing will ever bring my sister back, we will take some comfort in knowing the man responsible for taking her from us. Sorry. Is now behind bars. Yet at least light will never fade from our hearts, and her memory will live in her son and all of us who loved her forever. It is with great pain that I stand here in front of you to speak about my beloved sister. My sister was a truly remarkable woman, radiant in both spirit and character. She possessed a heart full of kindness, and her warmth left a lasting impression on everyone she met. Her life was tragically and unjustly cut short in a way no one should ever have to endure. The events of that day will forever be imprinted in the memories of those who were with her, her mother, her 3-year-old son, and her fiance. She deserved so much more. She deserved the chance to see her son grow. To build a future with the man she loved and to live the full, joyful life she envisioned. The devastating impact of this senseless and negligent act has shattered our family. We will not stop seeking justice on her behalf. It is the very least she and all of us who loved her deserve. I also want to sincerely thank the Glendale Police Department for their tireless efforts in bringing some peace to our family, and for their continued work in pursuing justice by holding the individual responsible accountable. Your dedication means more to us than words can ever express. Thank you.
If you have any questions for anybody specific, we can take those now. We'll just have them step up to the mic, and unless we have one representative that would like to try to answer some of those questions. Yep.
Yeah.
Through the years, what are you going to tell him about her, just so that he knows her and her legacy?
I'm gonna tell him that she loved him very, very much. She was his priority. She was number one priority was being the mother. That I'm gonna show him all the videos, everything, so he can remember her. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. everything, yeah.
You want to share about how she kind of brought your family to the world, showing the wonderful recipes and just kind of how she shone through?
She was, like I said, she was glued to the family. Her love language was cooking, so she was a pure soul. Anybody will tell you that. She's always gonna be remembered. I know she's here with us, and yeah, so much joy. So much. Anybody can hear her laugh from a mile away. So much joy that she brought, I'm sure. Yeah. Is that it? Yeah.
Thank you for talk to you guys, and I'm so sorry for your loss. Do you happen to speak Spanish? ¿Hablas español?
Sí.
¿Nos podrías compartir un poco sobre tu esposa? ¿Qué es lo que quieres que recuerden de ella?
Ella fue una buena persona. Ella she was unique. Siempre nos vamos a acordar de ella y yeah. Sorry, I can't. I'm sorry.
You want to take one question?
Sure. Yeah. Anybody else? That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any questions for any of the other family members you'd like to speak to? Anybody? No? Okay. Just want to close out here and thank everybody for coming today. We appreciate your support. The family appreciates your support. We just want to make sure that they know that the Glendale Police Department is here for them and we're here to serve them. So we're going to make sure that we continue to do that. If anything else comes up in reference to the investigation, you can reach out to the Public Information Office and we'll try to answer those questions as we can. Thank you.
All right, so there you have it, folks. A very emotional update. Family members of an influencer in Glendale, Arizona, reflecting on her life, but also the tragic way in which she passed. As we mentioned, this 27-year-old was in a car with her fiance and her 3-year-old son when she was struck in the head by a stray bullet from a road rage incident that actually didn't even involve her. We'll take a quick break here. This is only just going to be a couple minutes. We'll be back on the other side with more of your breaking and live impact news. We'll, of course, be with you in just a little bit, so stick with us here. All right, welcome back, folks. Thanks for sticking with us here on Live Impact News. Once again, I'm Vanessa Rufus. We actually have a new live feed coming into our newsroom as we speak from out by the West Coast. We've got live images of what's called the Coyote Fire. This is El Dorado County in California. Looks like we are seeing quite a bit of smoke at this point. We have some reporting here that there's at least 164 acres that have been burning due to this fire. This is in the southern portion of El Dorado County, and it's primarily dealing with grass, although we do see a lot of trees that have now been caught up into the mix here. Once again, 160 or so acres, 21 miles southeast of Placerville, and we know that there are going to be firefighters working by air and by ground. Seems like this is kind of moving at a moderate rate as far as the fire spread is concerned. There is an evacuation that is in place for the area of Farmhand Road in the Omo and Somerset zones, and we're still also waiting to hear more about the cause of this fire. So we'll keep you updated as we learn more about the situation, but once again, we've got some live aerial images as a vegetation fire is burning in El Dorado County, California. Some evacuations are in place, and we've got crews that are tackling this both from the ground and overhead. We'll pop back as we get more information with that live look. Meantime, we've been keeping an eye on the discussions regarding transit and transportation projects that could be funded by the 1 cent sales tax voters will vote on this year. We're going to return you to that discussion. So we broke away from it in the middle of the chat, but here we go back to Charlotte, North Carolina in the transportation dialogue.
STIP and TIP that we then review, amend MTP as necessary, and do an air quality performance determination document, which is, again, what we acted on for the previous item, which was the P7 prioritization process. Projects that we are submitting fit into one of three categories. They are carryover, which means they've already been evaluated, they meet specific criteria, they're part of an already funded project, or there's an environmental document ongoing for that project, and so those get resubmitted automatically. Holding tank projects are projects that were previously submitted but not eligible for automatic resubmittal. These count towards our submittal slots of our limited number of submittal slots for consideration. And then after we've reviewed the holding tank projects, we have the ability to complete our submittal slots by applying new projects. For non-highway modes, we work with our member jurisdictions and organizations to submit projects in adopted plans to complete those lists. Typically, we do not maximize those lists because it is a smaller funding pot than the highway projects. And in the highway projects, we select based upon the horizon year and score in the MTP. So for this project list, we were using the draft but now adopted 2055 Metropolitan Transportation Plan's fiscally constrained project list. So again, the board may adjust the list based upon public feedback. The P8 project list should also align with the MTP fiscally constrained project list because the TIP is a subset of MTP projects. And the updates we've been sharing as quickly as we receive them on the CRTPO P8 webpage. One correction we received very recently this week was from NCDOT was about the I-77 project to construct additional lanes from West Catawba Avenue to NC 150. While we were updating a cost estimate for this project, NCDOT was doing an evaluation of all the all of the projects that were listed under carryover. In that evaluation, they realized that they had incorrectly identified this project as a carryover project, which means it would not be automatically resubmitted. Because this project is not included in our 2055 MTP fiscally constrained project list, then we would not be adding it to our P8.0 project submittal list. Because the fiscally constrained project list is a short list of projects we would like funded over the next horizon years that are in the plan. And so those projects, primary funding mechanism is the TIP. So those projects are typically then aligned with what is in the MTP. Additionally, in working with our member jurisdictions, one rail project that was submitted to us for consideration will not have an approved plan. It is included in prior to submission. However, it is in a document that is working through the approval process, and it's a safety crossing at Summit Avenue and Norfolk Southern Main Line crossing. There was a presentation earlier today to the transportation staff, and there was no issues identified within this project. and it is anticipated that this project would have been adopted very soon. And so as long as the plan is adopted, we had no issues with still including it in the project list, because we have extra rail project submittal slots that are going unused. So this will not hurt any project that is already on an approved list through this process, and it should be adopted prior to allocation of local input points and ranking through the prioritization process. So the public comment summary, we had a news story by WNC TV. We did social media posts. We had the Charlotte web page. We had a banner, interactive map, project list. We did a newsletter, an event calendar. We sent out email and press releases. Overall, we received 36 general comments about the project list. People brought up safety concerns. There were questions and comments about projects not on our project list, but the majority of highway, but also we reviewed the 2055 NTP physically constrained project list, because a lot of those projects, again, overlap with the P8 project list, because those project lists are intended to overlap. However, we don't have any recommended changes to the project list, because most of the comments were general and concerns, and we shared the information with who needed to see them. However, we're still recommending the list to move forward as presented. In addition to this, I know we've been receiving questions about how much funding we will have for prioritization 8.0. So also, very recently, we have received updated estimating funding totals. So as of July 9th, 2025, for the statewide mobility tier, it's anticipated that we will have $1.6 billion available for funding. For Region E, which is Mecklenburg and Union, it's $277 million for regional impact projects. For Iredell, which is Region F, it's anticipated for $366 million. Division 10, which is Mecklenburg and Union, is $53 million. And Division 12, which is Iredell County, it's anticipated to be $63 million. Now, again, that's not just for that county. All of those counties listed are the counties that will be submitting projects for prioritization for this money that is anticipated to be available for P8. I say that also that this is an estimated funding amount, because they will change, and it is in all likelihood, this number will go down. There will be variance adjustments, there will be cost changes because of future activities, schedule changes, and so these numbers were shared with us as a best case scenario, but we should all anticipate those numbers we just saw, or these numbers here, to go down as we move through the prioritization process. So we will have lower numbers once we're able to prioritize. So schedule moving forward for P8. Previously, we had the TC recommend open a public comment period, and the board approved. We had our public comment period. We're here now to ask for endorsement of the project list. If it is endorsed, then we would submit all of our projects to the NCDOT spot office by September 30th. After the projects are submitted, it goes for a review of the projects to make sure everything we submitted was accurate. Then from June to December of 2026 is when we apply local input points. Then winter to spring of 2027 is when we'll calculate final scores. And then the summer of 2027, we will have the draft 2828, 2037 STIP will be released, and we will start that process similar to our previous agenda item, to where we then make amendments to the MTP and do air quality conformity determination. And at that point also, we'll be starting P9 process. So with that, the action requested is to approve the recommended aviation, bicycle, and pedestrian highway transit rail project list for submission to NCDOT for prioritization 8.0, which will develop the 2028-2037 TIP.
Mr. Jones?
Yes. Can you go back to your slide? Can you go back to your slide where it shows the funding? Is that per year, or is that for the whole TIP 2028 to 2037?
So these are the funds that will be available, like additional funds that will be available for the STIP. Okay. And these are numbers that were shared with us. We did not generate these numbers. So how the previous cycle for prioritization 7.0, remember we had those negative numbers, so we weren't able to prioritize new projects into the regional impact and division needs tier, but we did receive statewide funding. So this is again the funds that will be added. So we are under the 2026-2035 TIP is the one we are currently going to move towards, which is the project list, which we are opening a public comment period on. So when we add new projects for the 2028, 2037 STIP, the availability to add projects to the STIP is estimated to be in these dollar amounts. So the whole STIP, which covers a 10-year time period, this is not all the funding for that 10-year time period, but this is the amount of funding that is anticipated to be available to add new projects through the prioritization process.
And right now we're in year 3 and 4, 5, 6, and 7, and we had 36 public comments. So we've really got a lot of weight and energy into this, I can see. Really great.
Other questions, comments? Mayor Higdon, and then Brian.
Yeah, just to comment back on the funding, is that usual that Mecklenburg and Union County, our area, would get less funding than less populous?
So that is the amount of funding that's available for all of those counties. So that's not, those are our 2 counties in our planning region, but when we submit a project for the division needs tier in Division 10, we are also competing with projects that are submitted from Canberra, Stanley, and Anson. So all of us are submitting for those numbers, and as you can see, those numbers are low. And so we are still working our way out from the budgeting issues we saw in P7 and P6. So hopefully in the next prioritization cycle, there will be more funds available. Again, these are the best case scenarios, so we should anticipate these numbers to go down. Just in the interest of transparency, we're just sharing with you what we know. Because we received questions on would we even have positive values. It appears as if, currently the values are estimated to be positive, which means we will be receiving projects as opposed to the previous prioritization cycle for the division needs and regional impact. So that's good news. Just seeing how far that goes, I mean, we'll have to work through the prioritization process and see what is submitted. Because again, we submit projects as part of a competitive process to NCDOT's spot office, and then they're ranked and compared, and then that's what is allocated.
Neil wanted to add something real quick on that.
Everything Travis said is correct, but I also wanted to just address Mayor Higdon's comment about the 2 different divisions there. So the first thing that comes off the top is the funding for committed projects that don't have to go through P8.0. So what I take from this, and I'm pretty sure this is accurate, but Division 10 has a lot of projects that are committed in right-of-way acquisition, about to start construction, in construction. That all comes off the top first. But the way the STI legislation works is all 14 divisions start with the same amount of funding, but it really depends as to how many projects, again, that you have are committed, and that's taken first. And so that's why you see a diminished amount in 10 as opposed to 12.
Thank you.
Mr. Helms had a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Travis, my question is about the Summit Avenue project.
Yes.
So if I understand correctly, and maybe I'm just asking for clarification here, but was that included in the public comment period that was held between July 17th and July 31st?
Yes.
Okay. And was there any specific comments regarding that project that you can share with the board?
Nope.
Thanks, sir.
At least not that I recall. Usually our rail projects don't receive a lot of comments specifically. And I know there's been a lot of work done on this project through CDOT and working with other projects in the region. And it was included in the public comment period. Typically, before we receive the projects, we screen, is it an approved plan? And there was just some confusion over their timeline and what we were going to require prior to the September 30th deadline. So that is working to be rectified right now.
Travis, if you would just allow me to ask a question. So I guess I need a little bit of a clarification that, based on this project, that the additional lane on 77 from West Catawba to 150, that you were just notified on August 12th that there was an error. It seems like now this is flawed as well as what we just approved for the 2055 plan, because this project was, if I'm reading correctly, a cascading project that was in the constrained list. And now that it's totally being removed, I feel like, help me understand, it sounds
Right.
like both.
So in the
both-
2055 MTP, that was a project that was submitted, but under the category, it was listed as an unfunded project, which means it is not listed in our fiscally constrained project list on the draft list that was just approved. So the fiscally constrained project list is the projects that we are saying that we are going to be submitting through the prioritization process, because those are the projects we would like to see within that 20-year time horizon. So currently in our estimated funding for the projects that we are saying that we are going to submit in the NTP's fiscally constrained project list, that project is not included in that list. For carryover projects specifically, we were going to allow, or all projects were going to be resubmitted because they were subparts of other projects and were intended to just keep moving forward because it did not take one of our limited submittal slots. And so because of the limited number of submittal slots that we have, we typically preserve the highway project submittals for the projects that are in the draft fiscally constrained project list of the NTP, so that way we have the best chance of having those projects reach the development stage.
So this obviously changed after the public comment period.
It did.
Is, you know, I guess I feel like this is very flawed, to have that large of a project in our area that was not included in the public comment period.
No, it was concluded in the carryover list, but yes, it was not included, that would not be included in the holding tank project list.
So
That
it's,
is correct.
you know, presented as to the 36 people or whoever made comments, that it was in the carryover list.
Right.
And now, you know, 7, 8 days ago, oh, whoops, we made a mistake. And I use that in general, not you.
Correct.
That should not have been the carryover list. So now it's not going to be on this project, even a part of the whole P 8.0 even is unfunded. So like I said, I feel like it's flawed just simply because it's a last minute change that was not part of the public comment. So,
And we can share that
which is
feedback with
unfortunate.
NCDOT.
Other questions, comments? If not, there's action. We have a motion on the floor to approve the recommended aviation, bicycle, PED, highway, transit, rail project list for submission to NCDOT for the scoring prioritization 8.0, which will develop 2028, 2037. Sounds like Mayor Becker has a second. He's over there waving his arms and everything. Any other discussion? Great. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to our next, and almost to the end of the agenda. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. We've got our discretionary grants program, Jennifer Stafford. So the good news is Jennifer's going to talk about how we're going to get money for at least to do some projects. You have a lot of money, Jennifer? Tell us you have a lot
I
of
wish I
money.
had gone before these other conversations, honestly.
You will help us end well, so.
Okay, good.
Good job. Take it away.
So Jennifer Stafford with CRTPO. I'm the staff lead of the discretionary grants program. And so today I wanted to give you an update on the existing grant-funded projects, as well as talk about the fall call funding. So right off the bat, this year we started 2 different processes. So we did away with the spring call, which was for shortfalls only. And so all the submittals now come to this once a year opening. And so from after tonight, I'll start calling this the annual call. We're so used to calling it the fall call that I didn't want to switch it quite yet. So we have that. The other major change we had is we had a project oversight committee that was a subcommittee to the TCC. And as applications came in from the fall call, the project oversight committee would review them, help score them, and recommend to the TCC, who would recommend to you all. And that's why you saw Andrew so many times, because he was the chair to the POC. So this year, the POC sunset, they did what they needed to do with helping to create the policy, doing recommendations. They're all people, or most all people that were on the TCC. So now we'll have workshops after the TCC meetings, and any TCC member can do exactly what we did with the POC. So it's a little bit more transparent, not that there wasn't anything not transparent before, but I think it will be easier for your staff to talk to the board members and say, this is why this project was selected. Again, we're doing data-driven things, so it's pretty clear, but I think this will just help. So it'll be interesting to see how this this goes. A little bit more work for me, but I think it's the right way to go. So again, these are the active grant funded, so federally funded projects that you all have awarded in the past. We have 57 highway and intersection projects, 46 bike and ped projects, 3 transit, public transportation, 5 air quality, 4 planning studies, all still active. And these projects are in these phases. So the 4 planning projects, the design category that I have, so remember last year we had a real good feel-good story, 20 applicants, and you all recommended funding all 20 projects. I would love for that to happen again this year, but we'll see. So the design category holds some projects that have been awarded but maybe haven't hired engineering firm, for example, or they're not scheduled to start. The funding might be a few years out yet. So I put them in the design category. Staff's thinking about them, doing some concept work, getting the municipal agreement, stuff like that. The engineering phase is
Folks, we're pivoting away from this to bring you some breaking updates just into our Live Impact News studio. This is regarding an incident that happened at Palisades High School earlier this week, and we've been trying to get some more information on what exactly happened, because all we knew that there was an incident of some sort and there was somebody who was arrested. Just moments ago, we got a statement from CMS, basically including the message that parents received today from the principal there at Palisades High, providing more context on the arrest that happened. So this is what we're seeing according to the statement. A firearm was apparently discharged into an empty office from outside the building, and this happened on the high school campus. Nobody was injured, nobody witnessed or heard the shot. Once a broken window in the office was discovered, they had law enforcement come. CMPD had an investigation in which we mentioned this already. We knew this part. There was a young person who was identified and arrested, and apparently the arrest happened in a location off of campus. They were able to figure out the firearm that was alleged to be used in this incident. It's been seized. And then apparently yesterday, the folks over at Palisades High, the CMS police chief and the assistant superintendent for high school performance, Area A, which is presumably the area that covers Palisades, met to discuss the incident and basically understand all the safety protocols. Basically, the school district is going on to say that the campuses are safe, and then they have these new safety protocols, which we did report here before, actually earlier this week here on WCNC Plus. It's called I Love You Guys. But you can learn more about that on our website, WCNC.com. So once again, breaking updates. We've just learned the nature of the incident that prompted an arrest at Palisades High School earlier this week. Apparently somebody fired a gun into an empty office from outside the building. Nobody injured, but somebody, a young person we're seeing, arrested in this case. We're turning now to essentially back to the transit discussion. This is a different update, however. Our Walker Lawson looked into the Gateway Station. This is that long-awaited hub for the transit that's going to be located in Uptown Charlotte. There's some new delays to talk about, so he dug into what we can expect from this project moving forward.
Well, the Charlotte Gateway Station is meant to be a hub for transit, bringing rail, bus, and other services to the area. But now it's facing new delays, and it's leaving some questioning if it will meet its long-term deadline.
The project is definitely still in the works.
Charlotte City Councilman Ed Driggs says while they're facing hurdles, the project will come to light. Phase 1 wrapped up in 2022, adding new track improvements. But Phase 2, the part that would bring offices, apartments, shops, and a permanent station building, has hit more delays. A letter obtained by WCNC Charlotte from NCDOT to the City of Charlotte shows the agency raising concerns about Charlotte's wavering commitment.
One of the requirements in there was that there would be a train station. Now, NCDOT is working on a schedule. They need that train station by a certain date. So we've had some discussions with them about the possibility of a temporary station if the major project can't get done in time. So what they have paused is that conversation about the temporary station. The work on the larger project continues, and we'll find out a little bit later whether we can do it all at once or whether we need to have an interim temporary station.
NCDOT says the city is no longer willing to fund an interim station, causing costly delays that jeopardize the delivery of a permanent station by December of 2029. The letter also states due to the potential establishment of the Metropolitan Public Transportation Authority under the PAVE Act, and if the 1 cent sales tax passes in the fall, other things could change.
The work continues even while we get through this issue of the temporary train station, so I think it's a huge opportunity for Charlotte. I'm looking forward to it. It's just we do have to overcome some obstacles.
And we'll know more in November if voters do pass that 1 cent sales tax on the ballot. Reporting in Uptown, Walker Lawson, WCNC Charlotte.
And with that, we want to turn to another big ongoing headline we've been following out of our area, and that's regarding that mass shooting that happened earlier this year in the Catawba County area, specifically Newton. Our Jesse Pierre has been following along all week long as we've been seeing multiple suspects in this case make their first appearances before a judge on the charges that they face related to that deadly shooting. Let's listen into the update she shared with us today.
Carlos Uribe's hearing today was mostly procedural, but emotions were high. For the first time, Camden Childers' family were in the same room as the officer accused of shooting him, ending his life. About a dozen loved ones of 21-year-old Camden Childers showed up at the Catawba County Courthouse wearing shirts with Camden's photo, a reminder of the son, brother, friend they've lost.
I've lost one child. This is my firstborn, and I need to get justice for him.
Newton Police Lieutenant Carlos Uribe is facing a second-degree murder charge in the case, accused of shooting Camden following a police chase in Conover on June 26. The DA found his deadly use of force was not justified.
It is undisputed that he killed her son. Now, whether or not that's murder or something else for a jury to decide. However, we're going to ensure that we get justice for Camden in this process.
Prosecutors say they've turned over more than 600 pages of discovery, including body cam footage and witness interviews. In court Wednesday, the moment was almost unbearable for Camden's mother.
That's the first time I've ever seen him in person. It was very hard.
Despite the pain and grief, she says the fight for justice is the only path forward.
His children will still be able to come see him behind bars. My child is in an urn.
Uribe is expected to be back in court November 17th. Meanwhile, attorneys for Childers' family say they plan to pursue a civil suit as well. In Catawba County, Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
And just wanted to quickly clarify, because Jesse actually did multiple reports from court for us today. This was actually another piece that she put together today about a former Newton police lieutenant who's charged with second-degree murder for shooting and killing a 21-year-old person following a police chase in Conover. So that was a different piece, not the one regarding the mass shooting, but you can follow the very latest on that. We've got Jesse's reporting on our website, WCNC.com. With that, we want to get to the very latest with, do you want to do weather? Oh, I see what we got. Okay. I got a little mixed up here. Let's talk about Clear the Shelters. Of course, it's this Saturday. We had Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control on the show here just a few moments ago talking about what folks can expect and why it's so important to take part. Let's take a listen. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for Live Impact News. I'm Vanessa Rufus. Just right off the bat, we want to talk about Clear the Shelters, just because this is a big initiative for us here at WCNC Charlotte, and it's been underway all month long. And y'all who've been watching us throughout the month know that through the afternoon, morning, evenings, we've been bringing you coverage of our local rescues and shelters, the need out there, how you can help, adopt, foster, volunteer, donate, advocate. We'll just remind you our weekend here all mapped out, because we got Clear the Shelters adoption event that's happening at Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control on Byram Drive, the Byram Drive location, from 9 to 5. But let's talk more about what folks can expect and also just the general need out there. We've got Melissa Nicely joining us from the animal shelter. So fabulous timing, because we've got just a couple more days until this big event, and y'all pull out all the stops for this.
So first of all, thank you.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
thanks to
No,
all
thank
of
you.
the amazing people at WCNC for supporting us. And not just Animal Care and Control, but all of the local shelters and the shelters around the country. It could not be, I'm going to speak for everyone, it could not be better timing for shelters across the country.
Yeah.
As you know, one of the words that comes out of our mouth all the time is talking about full.
Yeah.
And how full we are and how full shelters get in the summer months especially. And that is no different at Animal Care and Control or the shelters around this area. So perfect time to go out and support by adopting a shelter pet for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great event as well in that not only do you usually see a lot of pets get adopted, but also it's just kind of a fun, day out with the family, perhaps, maybe come visit and see what y'all do at the shelter, take a look at the pets. We know a lot of area, shelters, they have, vendors that are going to be coming and activities. So just something that will, make up for a good day, I think, in general for folks.
Absolutely, absolutely. And remember too that we have more than just dogs and cats available for adoption. We're also going to have pocket pets available.
Yeah.
So if your child's been wanting a rabbit or something that's not a cat or a dog, make sure that you check with us as well, because we do often have all kinds of things in our room that is for our pocket pets.
Yeah. I mean, and I see from time to time y'all have like pigs and goats, and I know I think you have to have special permitting maybe for some of those barnyard animals, but occasionally, yeah, you'll see like chickens in the barn over there at the shelter.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago, we had 2 small pigs named Bambi and Flower, and they were adorable. And I'm happy to announce that they went to rescue or they went to a home. I don't know for sure, but I have been actually on vacation all of last week, so I truly don't know. I just got back in the office today. I don't know what we have in the barn.
Yeah.
I'll have to check and see, because we may have some barn animals that have crept in.
It's always a possibility, always a possibility. So, I mean, we talk about the need, and throughout the last few weeks, we've been profiling, different shelter pets around our area, and we've been talking about their bios and that sort of thing. In fact, yesterday we did have some volunteers from Zoomy Toomey come.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they talked about some of the Toomey dogs. That's your satellite location. We'll remind everyone once again, Saturday's event primarily at Byram Drive, but I mean, y'all have some great animals, and y'all are super full right now.
We are both full with the dog kennels, and we're full in the cat kennels. And this time of the year, if you're specifically wanting to have the lowdown on the kittens, it is no better time to adopt a kitten or 2 this time of the year, because we've got lots of kittens, and they're really adorable. They're at those ages where they're around 8 months of age all the way up to a few months old, and they're playing and they're fun, and if you get 2, they play together and they grow up together. So we've got lots and lots of kittens, all shapes, sizes, colors, personalities available. So it's a great time to come if you're looking for a kitten. And then of course, as you know, Vanessa, you spend a lot of time there walking dogs and different things that we always need adopters for our amazing dogs as well.
Yeah. Now, I did see, because of all of the staff concentration, if you will, and volunteer concentration on this weekend's event, that it looks like maybe daycations are going to be paused for a little bit.
Right.
Probably just good to remind folks that, but maybe even just talk about the daycation program, because when it returns, that's really a great option too.
Yeah, the daycation, we've got some great adoption programs, and we'll start with talking about the daycation program. So the daycation program is exactly what it is. It's day. So if you are free and you have a day off and you're like, I'd really like to get to know a shelter dog, get some exercise a shelter dog, get him out of the shelter, go get him a pup cup at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or wherever you fancy, then it's a great program. You can come, pick out a dog, take him out for the day. When you come back, you can give us all kinds of details about what you've learned about the dog, and we'll put that on the profile, so it gives adopters more information that we may not have yet. yet about the dog. So that is an amazing program and usually is offered like 7 days a week, but we are not doing it this Saturday. And the reason that we're not doing it this Saturday is because we don't want them to be out on a vacation and lose their opportunity to find their forever home with people who are coming to the shelter hoping to adopt and looking to adopt. So that, and also we're hopefully going to be really, really busy, and the processing of putting a daycation dog out to, a person and that sort of thing would then slow down the lines. So those are the two reasons, but mainly because we just really want them to be available and be there for people who are looking to adopt.
Yeah, and I mean, thinking back over the years, because I've been there for, I guess now at this point, maybe 4 or 5 years of, just because, our station has been doing this with y'all for years and years and years. I think, because I came in 2020, this would be like the 5th year of us talking about Clear the Shelters together. I feel like we always report on, at the very least, dozens of animals getting adopted. I know it kind of varies from year to year, but I mean, can you give us an idea of, I don't want to say expectations, because that's hard to set, but what is a ballpark of a usual successful adoption day for y'all?
Well, I think that the great thing is that you guys have done an amazing job pushing it out to the community and letting the community know to go to their local shelters, and not just animal care and control, like to anyone watching within your region, to go to and support their local shelters. So again, kudos to you guys, because getting the information out and knowing about this day is the piece that it wouldn't work if we didn't have that. But I'm just going to compare it to like a few, I guess it was back in June, July, we did sort of an SOS adoption because we were extremely full with dogs and really needed to get some moved out very quickly. And so we planned, within 2 weeks' time, we decided that we were going to do a fee-waived adoption and we were going to be doing it on a certain day. And we set a pretty high, lofty goal of, I think, 250 animals, I think. I can't even remember what. But we surpassed that goal. So if we could within a week's time, like say between now and the end of Saturday, we would love to see at least 150 animals leave between now and the end of Saturday.
Well, I'd love to see that too.
Yeah.
I know how much that would make a difference for not only the kennel capacity over at the shelter, but also, with the resources and staff as well. I mean, it does take a whole village to care for those animals. So speaking of, the big push, and we know that a lot of shelters will try to do waived fees or special sponsorships of adoptions. How are y'all handling it this year?
So great news. We actually started a special this week. So we are waiving adoptions from I think they started it on Monday. I wasn't here, so I think it started on Monday, all the way up until the 24th, I think, through the 24th. So through Saturday, through the end of Saturday, all adoption fees are waived. Let me just say it one more time.
Yeah.
All adoption fees are waived. That's huge. So it's a perfect opportunity that you can save a few bucks on the adoption fee and take that money and go to your pet supermarket and get all the things that you need to start up having a new pet in your home.
Yeah, I mean, and because we have adopted a dog from Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control. His name is Rocky River. If you've been watching on TV, there's some commercials that have been running for Clear the Shelters this month. That is Rocky River. We have another dog too, but he was rescued from a different state. Anyways, when we got Rocky, he came microchipped. He came with all of his basic vaccinations, and he was also heartworm positive. We did have the option of doing the slow kill heartworm treatment through y'all. All right, we're going to break into this to basically say farewell for now. Our time here on Live Impact is coming to a close, but you can learn more about Clear the Shelters on our website, WCNC.com, and tune in Saturday morning. We will have live coverage of the event itself here on streaming.